crazy to me that like this is what's going on, and I'm the crazy one because I want to cut government spending. I'm the crazy one because I want to cut unessential services that aren't bringing any value to my community. And the taxes are going up, and then the rental companies are raising their rates, and then everything's getting dilapidated. They're not fixing shit. I could walk around my neighborhood and point out 10 fucking code violations.
Right.
So, and it's like we're robbing Peter to pay Paul here, and the people who are paying for it are the people that live in Biddeford. You know, uh, 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, I had an apartment. I had a 3-bedroom apartment, right up the street from Alex Pizza, probably 100 yards from there, right on the corner, and it was $900 a month. I had 3 bedrooms. I had an office. I had a downstairs and upstairs. I split it with 3 of my friends, and we paid $300 a month.
That's good.
And I worked for almost half a decade. I was over at Guitar Center in South Portland, where they pay pennies. I mean, when I started with the company, I was making, I think, $7.25 an hour plus commission in 2010.
Right.
And when I left the company in 2014, late 2014, early 2015, I was making $8.25.
Right. But you were able to do it. You were able to pull it off, and it was something.
I hustled. I hustled like a
Right.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, I buy and sell and trade. I'm on Marketplace. I'm on Uncle Henry's. I'm always wheeling a deal. And the joke when I was in my 20s is I used to change my underwear more than I used to change cars more than my underwear. It was what my friends would say about me, because I'd always have a different vehicle. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things. Well, let me just ask your opinion, right? Just curious, out of the box, right? That's a little bit off topic, but with the affordability is this new word everybody talks about, right? Which is just what we used to call it was inflation, right? The cost of shit is too much, and now we call it affordability. We put a new label on it, and now we're using it too. But there's a complaint, especially by the younger generations, that say, I'm never going to be alone at home. I can't do this. I can't make it. All I do is work. It seems like I can never get anywhere. And you just see like tons of these kind of crying videos on TikTok and shit like that. What's your opinion of that as far as, is there a real gripe they have? Do you think that, they're whiny bitches? I mean, what do you think? Or somewhere in between there?
Could you repeat the last like 8 or 10 seconds? I kind of went a little laggy on you, and you cut out on me. If you don't mind, I'm sorry.
Do you think people are whiny, and being whiny bitches, or do you think that they have a reasonable gripe, or is it somewhere in between?
I think it's a little bit in between. So the unfortunate truth that people don't want to talk about in the state of Maine is that our average population the age of our average population is like 48 years old.
Yeah.
So we're not creating jobs here for young people. We're a service industry. We're a vacation industry. We have donut shops and gas stations and Walmarts and Hannafords. Like, tell me, if you can think of more, I'd be willing to hear it. But like, when I think of good jobs around Maine, I think of BIW, I think of Pratt and Whitney, I think of the Portsmouth shipyard, which is not even in Maine, but plenty of Mainers work there.
Right.
So, and like, I worked for Pratt and Whitney. It was not my cup of tea. I wouldn't say anything bad about the company. It's just, I'm not a drone. I'm not a worker bee like that. I don't, I worked on the weekend shift.
Right. But here's the thing too, okay? And I don't mean to be mean, okay?
No.
But they say that there's what is it, like 1 out of 4 or quite a large number of people don't have an inner monologue, okay?
Really?
And they don't talk to themselves. There's not a lot of stuff going on. They don't spend a lot of time thinking or ruminating on things. There's just not much going on, right? And they go to work, and then I think the people like that need an opportunity, and this world that Elon Musk keeps coming up with, where robots are going to run around, do everything, and then we're going to all of a sudden be in Star Trek world, because there's going to be such an overabundance. I just don't see that happening, right? I
No,
see.
I mean, I really, quite frankly, I think we're going to be dealing with other consequential problems. So, like the data centers, the water usage, the resources that all these things take up.
Well, let
Um,
me ask you a question because I just heard something that was interesting about the data center versus the golf course.
Oh, golf courses.
What was the number that you said
140.
the golf course was? I think it was like 40
40
times,
times
use
more.
40 times more water footprint, a
And there's
golf
140 in Maine.
course than a data center. Now,
oh
I'm
yeah,
not, and I have been agnostic on the data center thing. I have heard people on both sides, right? And up to now, I'm like, okay, AI is coming, it's here, and whoever wins the AI race is going to be dominant, right? But I also believe the Antichrist is coming through the AI. We got bigger problems than that. So anyway, but but that being said, it's like, okay, the practical realities is the world doesn't operate as a theocracy. We can't operate on that assumption. And so they have to win this race, right? So to have the data centers, I can see, and I understand that the Chinese probably have a big vested interest to say, no, 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 no. Then they're going to pay for advertising to say, we don't want America to have these data centers because they want to put in their data centers over there so they're ahead of us. At least that's the impression I'm getting. So, amidst all of that, I'm trying to figure out what the reality of the situation is. Is it a net benefit, positive plus to an economy or not? Because if we don't ride on the future, I mean, what somebody's got to fix the shit that runs around inside these data centers. We've got to have a group of people, and if it happens to be them repairing robots, then we need some be able to have people do that. Okay, so
now
I don't know. What's your take?
well, I mean, we one of the problems that we have in this country is we've had a war on the American people since the end of World War II, right? So, how familiar are you with Operation Paperclip?
I mean, I've heard the term before, but it's not ringing any bells.
Well, you're going to like this one. So, I'll give you a couple things that you can research after our discussion. So, Operation Paperclip happened at the end of World War II. Russia did a similar operation, but they were more forceful. They did it with guns. But what America did is we went into fallen Nazi Germany and we cherry picked over 1,500 high ranking government officials,
Yeah,
scientists,
yeah,
von Bronner. If you
yeah.
believe that we went to the moon in '69, those were all Nazis that did that. I'm not convinced we went. I'm sure we went, but I'm not convinced. And we were in a space race with Russia, and they were sending dogs and monkeys and stuff up, and all dying. So I'm not a denier that we went to the moon. I just don't know if the time frame lines up. But that being said, that same year that happened, we started adding fluoride to the water supply in the United States. And
Mm.
then if you look at the food supply, all our stuff is fucking full of chemicals.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's it's sprayed with this, it's sprayed with that. Now, have you ever heard the phrase "you can't win a war on multiple fronts"?
Yes.
So that's what's happening to the American people. We're being attacked through our water supply, fluorination of our water, chemicals in our food, the indoctrination of our children through our school system. The educational standards in this country have only come down since the formation of the Department of Education. Why is that when we formed a Department of Education that our standards started to slip?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I mean, every single human institution is corrupt. And I believe ultimately that the reason, spiritually speaking, is because every single one of those forces has been weaponized, mobilized against the American people. I mean,
yeah.
Alex Jones is right when he was talking about atrazine and the
A
feminization of men.
100%. I have a friend of mine who went to school for horticultural stuff, right? And she sounded the alarm on this a couple of years before Alex Jones in my circle.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's turning the amphibians transgender. It's
Yeah.
changing their. So we have so many problems that we got to address. I mean, but where I'm trying to come from with this campaign and what I'm doing and what I'm proposing and what I'd like to do is community based. And I want to get my community involved. I want to get them engaged. The last election cycle, the current sitting mayor, Liam LaFountain, he won with 2,618 votes, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. And if I'm not mistaken, also off the top of my head, there's around 18,000 to 18,500 eligible voters in the city. So by my math, he got about 12 to 14% of the vote.
12 to 14%
of the voting populace, and that right there tells me that I actually have a chance at this.
You do. Of course you do. Absolutely. And in my opinion, and I've been talking about this forever, and so I'm not even worried about, I'm not concerned one iota that you're late in this race, early in this race, how much money you have to spend, how little money you have to spend. I could give a shit because the zeitgeist has shifted, my friend. And I'm just telling you that people have kind of had it. Once people start to hear common sense type stuff, and this is popping off, I can see, testify that this is happening all over the state, right? It's happening in Brownfield, all these places where people are just fed up and saying, it's not ridiculous. What we're talking about is not rocket science. These are basic ideas. They've been around for hundreds of years, okay? Policing and these type things. And that government should be minimalistic. We all know that. Our founding fathers would be horrified at what the government is in the job of doing, right? So telling people that now how to get back to that minimalism, I think the most effective way is to do it on the local level. It's city by city, town by town, which is where I have refocused my interest to say politics is all about being local, and in some cases even hyper local, right? Yep.
I agree. I don't disagree at all. And I mean, if we take it back to a community level, and it's essentially rebuilding the whole system from the ground up, from the town level up, is what we need to do.
Yeah. And and I think that what we need to do is we need to do it with really the idea of what this whole thing is supposed to be, is the idea that the majority should decide what is best for the people, right? The people that are the ones, generally speaking, that are the actual stakeholders in the situation. And what I think we've done is, as a society, we've inverted the marginalized, the victimized, supposedly, right? Created all these classes, and then the tail is wagging the entire dog, and all of society, for example, has to accommodate what they admittedly have said. Well, there's only a few minor athletes in the, sports, women in sports. What's the big deal? Well, if there's only a few, why is all of our society, I would ask you, having to conform to it then? It's insanity.
Yes. I mean, so my background, I played competitive hockey for 20 years. And what happens, I can tell you from experience, is around 12, 13 years old, the girls break off and they start playing the boys without the boys.
Yeah.
And only a select handful. During my 20-year career, let me think real quick. I played hockey with a girl named Lauren Greer for the Seacoast Spartans. I played hockey with a woman named Alyssa Dunn. She played for Massabesic, Bonnie Eagle. And I played hockey with a girl named Brittany Toth from Wells, Maine. And I think that's it in my whole career, as far as and you know what? And it wasn't their fault, but I will say having a girl on my team a couple times created situations that shouldn't have fucking happened.
Right.
I've had several bench clearing brawls because some asshole wants to hit a girl face first into the boards, and it's our duty as men to stop that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So
right.
I mean, and it was just a handful of times that happened, 2 times specifically, but boys are just stronger and meaner, and right around puberty, it's like it kind of makes sense to split them off like that, because I mean, they don't do checking in the female leagues.
Right. But the whole idea here, I think, is, you see, ultimately is the emasculization of everyone else, and just to accept what's going on in that room. Okay, to get a locker room, full of guys to accept the woman or vice versa, a bunch of women to accept the guy. It's just once you accept, I think, me personally, even the idea that a man can become a girl and a girl can become a man. I mean, and this problem could have been solved is just give them a private space. That's the clearest thing. If we have to have a damn category, give them a space. It's called the faculty bathroom. Every
No,
school
and
has one.
oh, and that definitely happened when I was growing up. Like Brittany, she would dress in the referee room.
Yeah. Well,
So I
you know,
mean,
the and the military thing too, you know, and you also get that kind of problems, and then romantic problems. Everything sort of gets confused, and I think we had it right when we originally did the Title IX, and we said girls should have a place for girls, boys should have a place for boys, right? In
100%.
general, yeah.
I'm also of the line that I think Roe versus Wade being sent back to the states was the right fucking decision.
Yep.
This country is so big. Like
Yeah.
there's 380 million people in this country, and
Yes.
you can't tell me that the people in Maine feel the same way as the people of Florida, feel the same way as New York, as California, as Arizona.
Nope.
And I don't think a blanket policy is a smart way to do that.
Right. No, I agree. One size does not fit all, and that's why federalism, which is a confusing term, I've always listened to federalism, it seems to mean that the government, the federal government's in charge, but it's not. It's actually saying that we're all under a system where the states have the ultimate authority, and whatever's left over is reserved for the federal government.
Now, I'm not over here being like, fuck abortion. Like they shouldn't, like it's their body and their choice, and if we as a state set our boundaries on what we feel is right, like I'm okay with that. I personally, like I don't want to sound cold and callous, but if you're in a situation, right, if you're a homeless woman or person, or if you're in a situation where you're going to be dependent on the state, right, you're already got 2 or 3 kids, like, do we want to, again, not to sound terrible, but burden the tax dollar with raising that child? Like, if you're not prepared, I'm not for full term, I'm not for like late term abortion, but if you go, oh fuck, we got 3 kids, Billy, and we can't feed them, and we're on food stamps in Section 8, and like, can we really do this? I think that's a valid question to ask.
It is, but what I would put forth is I would say, well, we went to go adopt at one point, and it fell through at the very last minute because the father came out and exerted parental rights, which we didn't expect him to do. But the cost of that adoption through a Christian service was $16,000. And, I'd say to myself, well, okay, I mean, perhaps what we need to do is have alternatives. We need to have better services to provide to make sure that people have healthy pregnancies and come to term and all these sort of things. And as many of the other alternatives that we can get to, and then also address the very marginal things of, okay, incest. Okay, everybody, can we all agree? If you want to do that and go get abortion, we can in good conscience say, okay, but and not require that. But beyond a few of those exceptions, 98% of the rest of them are convenience-based abortions.
Yeah, and that's my problem is like, I don't hate the woman who is in a situation where she feels as though that's her only choice, but I don't really care for people that look at it or it as a form of birth control. And I know some of those people, and I think that is just some of the, like, be proactive about yourself and your healthcare and your body. Get an IUD or whatever have you. There's multitudes of different options, but I just don't think the people, I know people in real life, and I've also seen it a lot online with the Christian people who are protesting outside of Planned Parenthood, and they're like, I'm excited to go kill my baby. Like, it's that kind of fucking shit that just makes my blood boil.
Yeah.
Not the person who genuinely needs the health care and has a problem and, is in a situation where they need some type of resources. These are just people who want to kill fucking babies, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And see, and that's where I'm concerned, and I will bring in the slippery slope argument, right? Because at that point, And people say, well, there is no slippery slope. Well, I would say, if you look societally, where we now point where we started with, hey, we just want you to accept our alternative sexuality as gays, and then we'd like to be married, which I always thought it should have been a civil union. If it's a legal issue, you want the same rights. Marriage is a religious institution. It was always a religious institution. And the church probably should have never ceded it to the government before it's in the first place. But okay, so then what happened was, and a lot of the gays are very angry now because essentially now we've got full blown transvestism. I mean, transgenderism, teaching it to children, the grooming of children, right? And there we are down the end of that slippery damn slope, right in the muck we said we didn't want to go down. And so I'm concerned when you get into the regulation of abortion, and I do believe that there is some place that I have to say, as Christians, it makes no sense because we live in a plutocracy, right? Is that the right word? That we have to deal with other people that live next to us, and we might be this many percent Christian, and we're not necessarily a theocracy, right? But at some point, we've got to say, all right, morally, ethically, we are based on a certain set that we do cherish the basic things of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that word life in there is that's the first damn thing, right? So I think if we're going to err, we should be as careful as we can in preserving life. That's just my position.
No, and I don't disagree, and I don't want you to think that I'm out here like, yeah, go get an abortion. I think, my stance is very situational, and it's very on the smaller side of things. I mean, I think if a woman is sexually assaulted and raped, that 100%, like, that shouldn't even be a question. Why would we force a woman to carry a child to birth? You know what I mean? Like, why would we put someone through that? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
I understand that's a much smaller pool than what we're talking about. You know what's really interesting? I'm gonna have to go in a minute. My break's about over, but I'll leave you with this. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but if you were to pull them up, the overwhelming, I believe, I could be mistaken, I don't think I am though, the overwhelming majority of people getting abortions are young black women.
Yeah. Well, it's the Margaret Sanger model, right? I mean, up from the beginning.
I think it's around a 42 or 43%, if I'm not mistaken, to be honest.
Yeah. It's terrible. And I mean, when you get money involved in anything, okay, which is where this whole needles and Narcan, and we can talk about that all day long. And I'd like to talk to you about the ICE thing and what happened at the ICE protest in Scarborough. And I don't know if you watched any of the footage from that.
No, I'll have to check it out. Send me a link to that, and I'll look at that. I mean, I'll be honest. With everything that's been going on in my personal life, I've been just absolutely inundated. I've been answering 75 to 100 messages a day. I'm trying to reply to every comment when I get one. So I'm just trying to kind of build and snowball this movement as much as I can. So
good. Well, you've told me a lot about yourself. I enjoyed the conversation today, but I've got your bio information. I'm going to put up some hype to let you know that we're going to be talking on Sunday. Is that right? Yeah, Sunday, right? 7 p.m.
Yeah, sounds good.
We're going to do that, and we're excited about doing that, and I'm glad that you joined me. And then I'll send you some links at your leisure that you could prepare so you know a little bit more about, because that was kind of the whole Biddeford thing. I didn't even know what the hell a Biddeford was, to tell you the honest God truth, until the shooting happened. And I went, oh. And then I got involved in a very special way, which you can judge once I send it to you, and we can talk about it.
Hell yeah. Well, hey, I look forward to our talk on Sunday, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and thank you for taking the time for me, and I look forward to a spirited conversation on Sunday.
Love it. Thanks for joining me, brother.
All right. Have a good day.
See you, Corey. Bye-bye. Excellent.